Man, oh man, what a day, what a day. Boy, great day comes to an end. What a beautiful day. One of those days you love being a trader, right? Boy, Nasdaq was a bit squirrely this morning. We saw that, but man, got that big reversal off the low on the S&P, only to watch it dump this afternoon as we talked about last night. And oil, oil pretty much played out exactly as we talked about. Nice two-chart reversal, the breakout pullback. So, boy, it was a fun day today in our morning trade room. Again, one of those days you love being a trader. Hope you made some money out there as well. But you know what I'm going to say today, right? I don't care how much money you made today. We're going to get back to focus. I always try to kind of reset, refocus, because we're only as good as our next trading day. We got some more big news coming tomorrow. We've got a lot of great trades we're tracking for Thursday as well. And you know me, I'm going to make sure we get a game plan to make some money on Thursday. Before we jump in and get the game going tonight, got a lot we're going to cover in one of the most important videos of the week. Before we jump in, make sure you subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss tomorrow night's video. And if you guys enjoyed the video tonight, do me a favor, as always, hit that like button and give me a shout out, will you? I haven't heard from you yet down in the comments section below. All kidding aside though, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get this video going. Where are the best trades setting up here for Thursday? But I'll tell you, there's a lot of reversals on my radar for tomorrow. S&P right now, S&P is a pretty familiar situation. We have a range breakout, so we're definitely looking for some more breakout pullbacks. I do think buyers can make some money on the way during that pullback, and I'd love to see some bull traps for a run back down again. Now, speaking of reversals, the Nasdaq definitely has quite a few reversal patterns we're watching here for tomorrow. I'd love to get some bull trap reversals off of that high. We still haven't got that retest of that low. So, boy, lots of potential reversal patterns on the Nasdaq here for tomorrow. And boy, speaking of reversals, oil, right? Oil kind of overdoes it on the breakout today. We get a big move down into quite a bit of support areas down here. I think buyers will likely be looking to pick bottoms on this for another breakout pullback, right? I think there's money to make on the way going higher, and there's definitely opportunities here for another run back lower. We get a lot of really fun trades setting up here for crude oil here for tomorrow. So, well, I'll tell you, long side trades, definitely some short side trades as markets are overall bearish right now. And of course, I'm going to go over all my favorite trades in this video that we get a game plan to make some money tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, before we jump in and talk about all the individual trades on my radar for tomorrow, let's all get on the same page, because we've got really the next 2 days are kind of the biggest news of the week. Now, keep in mind, we're going to the end of the month, and end of the month, we usually do see extra volatility, so be aware of that. We got GDP tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern time, jobless claims, 8:30 Eastern time. Those, of course, are the big news that we have during the actual trading session tomorrow. That GDP, you have to think, is on everyone's radar here for tomorrow. But, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, or maybe you haven't watched any of my videos this week, we've got some of the biggest earnings reports coming out. We have a behemoth, a $1 trillion market cap, that is Amazon, coming out tomorrow afternoon. That may lead to some nervous markets, right? We heard from Meta this afternoon. They pretty much smashed expectations, laughing in my face, right? I was talking crap about them in last night's video. So they seem to have a pretty good quarter. We got relatively small stuff before the open, but we know everyone will shift their focus to Amazon. And then we have the big one, right? The big one, Apple, is next week, a $3 trillion market cap in Apple, right? Makes Amazon look like a small business. So those are some big headlines for tomorrow afternoon. Remember, the most important thing right now is, we have some fun talking about the earnings in our trade room and on this video, but remember, the earnings really don't matter, right? What matters is the reaction to these earnings reports. We expect more volatility this week, the next few days. We got GDP on our radar, and we will trade the reaction tomorrow in our trade room. And I'll tell you, if we have half as good of a day tomorrow as today, I'll be a very happy camper. So back to our charts though, because of course, course, the money is made on the charts. We know when the news is. Those are good catalysts. But guys, if you like making money, I'm going to go over all my favorite trades on each one of these markets right now. Make sure you watch all the way to the end because I'll discuss different trade ideas, and every trade I talk about tonight can be applied to your favorite market. So you know me, right? I will find a way to bring it all together at the end. I'll give you a reason to stick around all the way to the finish. A couple things. First of all, these are all tick charts. We'll go S&P, we'll go Nasdaq, we'll go crude oil. They are all tick charts. You can see time frames in the upper left-hand corner there. This is the 21 EMA. And of course, as always, I will give you guys some higher time frame charts linked up in the description of the video here tonight. I've got some 60-minute charts, some 4-hour charts. I like to use the 60-minute chart especially for my long-term directional bias. It gives me more of a filter to help me identify the best trades each day. So now that you know more about what's going on here right now, what's the most important thing affecting the S&P here? Well, we're definitely bearish overall. We have an overall bear bias here right now, and we find ourselves in a very similar spot we were last night, right? We're bearish into a trading range. We have a relatively convincing strong move down into a pretty decent area of support at 40.73 3/4. You can see that listed on the 4-hour chart. You can see this number should pretty much stand out like a sore thumb here. Again, 4-hour chart linked up in the description. Just like last night, right? We expect to have that pullback, and we expect there to be bears, waiting for us up around those, basically the underbelly of that trading range for a move back down again. So, very similar to the game plan last night, right? I think buyers can easily look for some longs going during that pullback. I think sellers will certainly be looking for some shorts back down again. And just like we saw today, right, I think there's potential for some beautiful reversals off of that low. And so no shortage of opportunities here on the S&P tomorrow. So I want to go over all of this, and I also want to talk about, because the Nasdaq is very divergent from the S&P. The Nasdaq is more of a bullish range right now. That may lead to a reversal on the Nasdaq, and if the Nasdaq reverses and punches higher, that will probably drag the S&P as well. And I want to make sure you're ready to capitalize if we do get what could be a pendulum swing, right, for a run back higher here. So we have a lot to cover here, right, in a very short amount of time here on this video. So my favorite trades right now, as we go higher, the key to being a buyer off the low, because we're so bearish overall, the key is going to be trapping the bears in and using their stops to fuel the move going higher. This is where bear traps come in handy. So as we're going higher, right, ultimately we have to do this before we really start getting up around the underbelly of this trading range. So if you want to buy off the low right now, right, the best way to do this is to be looking for bear traps. These are the exact same trap patterns I talk about in the free trading course, right? So trap setups on the way higher. Now, as we start getting up into the top of this channel, we start running into the underbelly of the range. We've got a trend line coming down overhead. As we start to run back into these areas now we have a relatively deep pullback, which means buyers are probably going to be a little bit feisty, right? They're probably not going to give up without a fight. And so we want to now let those buyers try a couple times. Let them try once. Let them try twice. Now notice how I draw this, right? You want to go lower low on this, right? Lower low on this. So as they pull back, the buyers start getting in. And just like I talk about in my free trading course, I want to use their stops here now. My favorite way to kind of pick a top like this is to use stops as fuel and look for what I call a failure pattern. Now, you guys know, if you've taken that free video series, that anytime we see a strong move down like this, they're trying to retest that low, right? That's the objective. So on the way down to that low, I'd like to go grab what we call a pullback combination. right? So again, it's a failure pattern. I would like to use a 2-try failure in this situation. A lot of it because of the Nasdaq potential to push higher, a little bit of it because you've got that range overhead, and we're coming off a really, again, that 73 and 3/4 area, it's not a small number. So we definitely could be in store here for a much sharper pullback that I'm illustrating right here, right? So a 2-try failure off the low, and then again, think about that pullback combination, right? So bear traps, right? Bear traps going higher. Okay, failure pattern once we get up in the underbelly, and then looking for that pullback combination to finish off that move back down. I teach all 3 of these pattern setups in that free trading course, which reminds me, I know that most of you guys are taking the free video series right now, or you've taken the free trading course. But if you're one of the few folks who are watching for the first time tonight, if you haven't learned these entry tactics in that free video series, I'll put a link up there for you in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that link, take that free trading course, because a strategy you'll learn in that video series will show you a simple trick to know exactly where the best winning trades are going to be each day. And I'll teach you 4 of my favorite entry patterns to help kickstart you making money on your own. If you're tired of missing the best trades, if you're taking too many losses, making too many mental mistakes, that roadmap you'll learn is perfect for someone trying to make the jump into a full-time trader. That way you'll be ready to make the money right on the way higher, right? And then potentially on right the way back down. Now, I do want to talk about a couple more things here. I want to talk about the reversal off of that low. We're going to cover that in a few minutes as well. But let's think about one thing though. If we were to let's say we do get that pop up, right? And now, again, I'm anticipating the buyers will come in, they'll fail, and we'll go back down to those lows again, right? We pop up, the buyers once, the buyers twice, they fail, and we go back to that low. That's what I'm anticipating, like we talked about, right, in last night's video. However, let's say, for example, though, they pop up, and maybe this 73 and 3/4, maybe it is really strong. Maybe we do end up jumping off of that low now, right, and begin to race and go higher. So how do you can you buy that? Can you buy that? You definitely can. But what's the challenge though? We're an overall bear market, right? So as we go higher up into resistance, we have to expect what? We have to expect there's more sellers up there, and they're probably gonna be looking for a short back down again. So the key to this is if we start to hold off that moving average and begin to accelerate, what's the best entry pattern? If you're worried about buying high, it's traps, right? Traps are going to be your bread and butter on this. If we end up going higher, right, those traps will be the best bet, right? Just like back here, right? If we go higher up, right, looking for traps on the way higher, it's that same basic idea there, right? Now, again, the goal on this is to get into these things before we take out some of these highs, really ideally taking out that big high, right? Because this will probably want a pendulum swing, right, all the way back up. And we'll worry about those big targets tomorrow morning in the trade room. But if we do end up really jumping off that moving average and accelerating going higher, we have to be weary about bears coming in and selling at those highs, and we have to make sure we're buying as low as we can buy, and you want to buy with traps, right? Ideally, I'd like to get that off a channel, right? Something like that. That'd be great. You know, we get a lot of examples of that in the free trading course. All right, guys. So keep that on your radar as well. One more thing, and then we'll talk about the reversal off the low, because that was some of the best trading that we had this morning on the S&P. What if we were to roll over, right, and go lower? Right? What would we do at that point, right? What's the game plan if we roll over and keep going lower? Now all we do is we mark up some of these highs, right? Like today, right? We pop up, we end up rolling over, right? Rolling over. What do you do in that situation? You mark that high, you mark a new channel, right? And you go looking for bull traps off the high, right? So this same idea, this same sequence right here, see what that looks like? That little bull trap of the high. And again, you guys know a lot about bull traps because we talk about that in the free video course. So if they roll over, right, and start going low, what do we do? Right? We start marking that high. We start finding new channels, right, off these lows, up around these highs. And again, right, the aggressive buyers can look for those bear traps, right, getting in during the pullback. got to be, right, have to be a bear trap going up. And then if we can get that price, go back it out a little bit here, right? If we can get this thing back up into this area now, same idea, right? Same idea. It's a bearish overall market. We're trying to take that low out. We trap the buyers in with failure patterns, right? And we sell into stops for a run back down again, right? So if we keep on rolling over, we're an overall bear market, keep on looking at those prior swings, right? Keep watching for these prior lows, right? And keep using those as key areas of resistance. All right, guys? I think by now we've covered a lot of the basic stuff. Now, let's talk about that reversal off the low, right? Because I definitely think that could easily be another easy winner for the buyers here tomorrow as well. Let's do that, though, on the Nasdaq, right? Because that is one of my favorite trades setting up right now on the NQ. Over on the Nasdaq is quite different, as you can see here tonight, than the S&P 500, right? The E-mini. The Nasdaq, well, first of all, we are definitely still in a bear market right now. Okay, it's very important. Again, you'll see this on the 60-minute chart. You can't really call this a bullish market right now on the 60-minute. That may change. That may change tomorrow. I can't see the future, right? I just know where the odds are stacked in our favor. But anyways, so we're overall bearish right now. Look, now that's where it ends, though, right? Nice strong pop up, and they pretty much held it, right? They held this trading range. Now, whenever we have a bullish market into a trading range, we have to think about kind of two type of trades, right? One is a breakout going higher, right? Which doesn't seem as likely. Now, I shouldn't say that, right? It's definitely possible, but again, we're an overall bear market. So you have to think that breakout could really find a lot of sellers up here. I think one of my favorite trades for tomorrow is a failed breakout off the high, right? But anyways, we'll talk about that in a moment. So one trade is a breakout, right? Again, bullish into a range. The other trade, which is always the best trade in a bullish move into a range, is basically a fake out breakout, reversal off the low. I would say that's probably my favorite trade for tomorrow, right? Is to use that range above us as a magnet. If you watched last night's video, you know that we had that strong move down, right, from yesterday. We still have not retested that low. We got that beautiful reversal on the S&P this morning when it retested that low, right? So that would be another one. So I mentioned in the introduction a lot of reversals, right, are my favorite trades here for tomorrow. Can't do much in here, right? You're really on the Nasdaq right now. You can't really do much inside of this area right there. You have to think right now that sellers are waiting above the highs right now. You have to think that buyers are waiting down below the low right now. You got to think this could easily be a bit of a bloodbath, right, in this area right now. So I'd like to stay away from the middle. As we go higher, knowing that there's potential for a breakout, right? Let's talk about some scenarios here. We're not a bull market. We're a bear market overall. So this trend line overhead, remember this whole area is that breakout pullback area that we talked about repeatedly in last night's video. So that's why there were so many bears here defending that area. As we try to make that breakout higher, this is kind of a classic situation where a failure pattern will come in handy. We talk a lot about ranges in our free video course, right? So we know they're magnets. As we go higher here now, momentum is going to be pretty bullish at that point, right? Great location for a short back down, right? Great location for a short, but momentum isn't that ripe for a short. So if I don't have momentum on my side, I need to do what? I need to use the other side of the market, the buyers, let them try a couple times and use their stops, right, as a catalyst to fuel this move going back down into that trading range, right? That is certainly an option here at those highs, right? So we pop up, we take out some of these highs, very, very important in my eyes. At least take the high out, ideally get that triangle, right? It could also go as high as that 41 3/4, right? Pops up, takes out the underbelly of that range, get kind of a breakout pullback style. And then as those buyers come in and they fight and try to keep this thing going, this range is a magnet. This range acts as resistance up overhead, and we can run those stops. Now, where does the market want to go at that point? Where's the market want to go? If we can get a nice juicy signal off that high, where's the market want to go at that point? It'll want to take out that low. Okay, that's the next objective. Well, ultimately, it'll want to take out that low, but I always tell our students in the trade room, shoot for the other side of that trading range. Now, what do you think is the best trade to short this thing as it's going back into that range? Traps. And we've talked about this a lot over the past week or so, right? We use failures at the edges, right? Failures at the edges. These are, again, two-try failure because we've got that kind of bullish momentum right now. So failure pattern, okay, off the edges. And then I like to look for those trap setups. And if I can, find some sort of channel by drawing off the low, channel off the high, right? That'd be a great spot there for a bull trap. It could be a trap pattern. It could be a buyer failure pattern. It could be a pullback combination. This will be on a faster time frame, right? This is a 5,000 tick chart. It'd be a faster time frame right there tomorrow morning in the trade room. But that's, any of the entry patterns you guys are learning in that free video course, right? You can drop in on that trap off the high of that channel, right? Target again is back to these lows, down at these lows. Right? Now, what do you think? Is it possible they hold that pullback and breakout? I mean, it definitely is. Again, we've got that beast Amazon, tomorrow afternoon. Sometimes we get these big moves almost like to tee things up, right, for the news that comes out tomorrow afternoon. Now, what would a breakout look like? We would have to take out these highs. We would have to hold the pullback and really get what? A jump, right, off that moving average. Okay? Remember, it doesn't matter how strong the initial leg is. They got to hold the pullback and go. It doesn't matter how strong the initial leg is. They got to hold the pullback and go, right? They haven't held the pullback and given us any reason yet to trust this breakout. So I'm not in any position right now to be buying that first pullback. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to let those buyers try a couple times and use their pain as fuel to go back into that trading range. But if they can hold that pullback, right? If they can hold it, what do you think is the best way to buy this thing as we're going higher? We talked about this a moment ago on the S&P. What's my concern, right? If they really jam and run higher, my concern is as we go higher, because we're in a bear market right now, 60-minute bearish, right? As we go higher, I have to be concerned that if we go up, we might come crashing back down. So because of that, as we start to accelerate off that moving average, the best way, the safest way, the most profitable way will usually be a bear trap. Right? So again, I'm not interested in buying that first pullback because again, there's no proof yet. This is not a bull market yet. However, if they can hold it and get that jump, then I can start thinking, okay, draw a channel off the high, mark off that low. The most important thing is you want those traps, right? You want those traps as we're going. We'll leave a runner, see how far it'll go. There definitely is potential, kind of fantasizing for the buyers right now, that 13,160 area, 13.2. I mean, that's kind of a pipe dream right now, but I mean, I don't know, right? That could easily happen. I like to go through different scenarios. That way, tomorrow morning in our trade room, we'll have this kind of roadmap already painted, and we can trade whatever we get. It makes no sense to predict. The markets are too complicated, right? You make predictions. You limit yourself to only one or two ways to make money, right? If you game plan different scenarios, you're ready for no matter what these wild markets will give you. So that's my kind of game plan for if we go higher here. Now, what if we roll over and go lower? We have a pendulum swing down here. That'll be a key area of support. That low of day, right? That low of day is fantastic. I mentioned earlier my favorite trade for tomorrow is that bounce right off of that low. And this is exactly where we'll keep on using those two-try failures, right? So as we go lower, we take out some triangle lows, some pendulum swing lows, right? The bears, of course, come in. They try a couple times, right? We use their stops as fuel, and we buy back up into that trading range, right? We end up back at those lows. That would be great, right? Big move down. They want to retest that low. Hopefully we can trap in some of the bears down there, right? Get them to try a couple times, right? And buy into those stops for that run back higher. Now, keep in mind, oftentimes when they retest this low, and we saw this great example this morning in the morning trade on the S&P, of course, right, is as it goes higher, where does the market want to go now? It's going to want to go back to the other side of that range, then potentially, right, all the way other side of the entire chart there, right? So as we're going, what do? We look for more traps, right? Again, like I mentioned earlier, we trade failures around the edges, right? Trap the bears in below the moving average, use stops as fuel, and then as the market rotates higher, we have more momentum now to use. We now want to buy as low as we can, and you do that by buying with traps, right? Traps are my favorite setup because you're either buying as low as you possibly can, which puts you in line with the smart money, the more experienced traders in the market, or you're selling traps off the high, selling as high as you can with a bull trap, all right? So that's the way in which I'm looking at this as we go lower. Now, it's a bear market, so is it possible we might take out that low? We might pull back and we might blast going lower? It's always possible, right? How would you trade that? What would you do in that situation, right? As the market rips lower, what are you looking for? Bull traps, right? As it goes lower, we're trying to sell high. And then after we get, right, a good distance down, we'll know more tomorrow. Then we start thinking about, okay, let's use these prior areas as key areas of support or resistance. Look for that pop up. Find some bigger channels coming down, right? And then use those failure patterns, right, to buy, to sell off the high of it, right? So if we do take the lows out, and all hell breaks loose, and they just rip off that moving average. Again, as it's going lower, we're not chasing it, right? We're riding traps, right? Looking for traps as we go lower. And then once we start getting some acceleration, and once it really starts going to overdo to the downside, we go, okay, we don't want to sell way down here. Eventually, everybody who sold the breakout will take profit. The price will pull back. And when it does, we then go thinking, okay, right? We start looking at prior levels of support, and we try to use them as resistance, and we combine those levels with channels, right? And again, I know I'm kind of just simply drawing the screen right now, but you'll see this tomorrow morning too in the trade room. We'll find some channels and look to combine the entry setups you guys are learning in the free video series off that channel. All right, guys. So that would be a pretty substantial move, right? Going back to that low and keep going, but again, big earnings, right? Big earnings tomorrow afternoon. So nothing should surprise you in earnings week, especially this week, most importantly, because this, of course, is peak week for earnings. Okay, so Nasdaq's done, S&P's done. Why don't we finish up tonight on the oil? Oil, if we could literally take the exact same game plan from last night's video and literally overlay it, right, on this one, it's very, very similar here. Last night we talked about that big move. Anyways, let's go over it in case you missed the video here. Most important factor right now on the oil is, of course, we're overall bearish, right? So we do want to look at this through the lens of a bearish overall market. We have a very strong move down, okay? That strong move down, anytime we see a strong move, we expect to pull back into areas of resistance, right? Into areas of resistance. We expect to have a lot of sellers waiting up here to what? To retest that low, right? Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we expect a deep pullback, right? Sell with a buyer failure, right? Sell bull traps off the high, and then back down to retest the low. Once we retest the low, then trap the bears in, look for that reversal back up, right? And again, kind of the same thing we talked about a moment ago there on both the Nasdaq and the S&P. Okay, I do believe because we're sitting at quite a bit of support down here, and you'll notice we've kind of accelerated all the way through that measured move. If you're a student of mine, you know that whenever we have a range breakout, the size of the breakout leg usually is the measuring leg. We clearly are a bit overdone, right, from that, and so I would imagine there'll be a lot of profit taking down here. I think there's definitely money to make, right, on the way back up. I think there could easily be money to make, I should say, right, on the way back up, the short back down, right, and then of course the reversal, right, back off of that low here. So again, like I mentioned on the S&P, right, as we're trying to go higher, this is where bear traps will come in, right, those trap setups off of that low. Remember, in this case, you want to buy as low as you can, because as you're going higher, here come the bears again, right? I have channels waiting, channel from there. I have a bigger channel off of that high. I get that prior low. All of these areas are great areas of resistance. As we make our way back up, we use those 2 try failures with the buyers try a couple times, use their stops as fuel, and we look for that run back down to retest the low. Once we take out that low, do we keep going lower, right? Do we keep going lower like we did today, right? Or do we see bears struggle, right? These are rookies right here, right? These are rookie traders coming in and selling that low. Okay, if they start to struggle off of that low, we then run those stops. We use those stops as fuel. And where does the market want to go? It'll want to go back up, right? It'll want to go back up, right, to retest that low again, right? So again, it's bear traps during rotation or traps during rotation. It's failures around the edges, trading that, right? Trading that back and forth. If the market was to keep going lower, right? Keep going lower. At that point, we've got a little bit more support waiting down here below us. If we were to keep going lower, we simply ratchet these things down, keep the channels going, and we rinse and repeat, right? That's all we do. All right. So as we off the pullback, we look for those bear traps, right, off the low, buyer failures off the high, and then potentially double bottom reversals off the low or continuation going lower, right? So not a lot changes there. If we end up kind of grinding down there, just be careful, right? Just be careful when you go looking to, buy off the low here. You want to make sure you've got 1 try, make 2 tries, right? And really make sure you've got a good, clean trap set up, right? For that run higher. You want to buy as low as you can, because as you start getting back around resistance, you know what's going to happen, right? The buyers will get trapped in here and it'll roll back over. All right, guys? Plenty of examples of this stuff covered in the free video course. I hope you'll take a minute to grab that link that popped up in the upper right-hand corner. Don't forget, I'll put all of the important links you guys need down in the description of the YouTube video. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I know we covered a lot of advanced tactics in the video here tonight. That's why I have that free video series to kind of walk you through the basic stuff. This will all make a lot more sense as part of that free trading course. Hope you learned a lot tonight. Hope you use it to earn a lot tomorrow as well. If you have any questions, if you need any help along the way, definitely don't be afraid to call us in the office. I'm always here to help if you need help with getting into the free video course or anything we talk about here in the video. We got live chat as well. So if you need help, reach out. We'll be here to help out, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for watching. Be well, be nice to each other, and I will see you tomorrow. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.